All right, everybody, Trevor Immelman here. Just super, super excited to be joined by the legend, one of my heroes, Jack Nicklaus.
Trevor.
Thanks so much for having us at Muirfield Village again.
Pleasure. Nice to have you.
Yeah, 49th Memorial Tournament.
It's a lot.
That's got to make you super proud, doesn't it?
That's very nice, yeah. I've been here for all of them. And we didn't start until I was in my late 30s.
That's right. That's right. Now, any tournament that jumps out to you is something that really kicks out, a particular shot or something that's happened over the years?
Well, I mean, obviously, I won it twice, and I was, that I'm very proud of. And probably 1977 was probably the first year that I won. Was probably the year that I'm probably the most proud of any tournament I ever won. I mean, I started this thing from its inception and sort of worked my way through it. And we spent the first years. I spent more time picking up cigarette butts and papers and stuffing in my caddy's pocket.
That's right.
And making sure this was this and fix the Growler ropes here. Hey guys, we can't have this. This can't happen here. We got to fix this. We got to do that. And I won the tournament doing it. So
Incredible.
From my standpoint, that was one of the most exciting things that ever happened to me. And but also, even more exciting than what I did was that the guys liked it.
Yeah.
They loved the tournament. They loved the golf course. They've loved coming here and play. We've taken care of the players. That's what we wanted to do. Is we wanted to make sure we took care of the players. We wanted to make sure that they really had a great time. We wanted to make sure if they would have a good time, then the people from the Central Ohio area and the people from around that came to watch the golf tournament would have a great time too. So when people are having a good time, other people have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you and Barbara have done a brilliant job. Certainly a tournament that I miss playing. I was fortunate to play here many times, and as you say, the players and families just absolutely love coming here and spending time with you and the family down in the locker room and hanging out. Talking about the golf course, you made some tweaks and changes over the years.
A lot.
What do you think the biggest challenge is to playing here at Muirfield Village?
Well, I think that big numbers. It's a golf course where you've got a lot of shots that you can take a chance on, and if you miss it, you're going to probably have a big number. Meaning double bogey.
Sure.
And I think that you've got to have the discipline to play. I think if you go through this golf course, you pretty well play you can figure out how to get to the center of the greens. You're going to be in pretty good shape on this golf course.
Yeah.
Almost everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's. I did the golf course a little bit in the thought of Augusta in some ways, and what I mean by that is most of my design has been give a guy a little bit of room on the tee shot,
Okay.
but then make the second shot be a little bit more demanding. I think Augusta's a bit that way. St. Andrews is a bit that way, which is what Jones sort of did when he did Augusta. He did it off of St. Andrews.
That's right.
And I enjoy I enjoy that more type of golf for myself. I enjoy being able to have the opportunity on a tee shot to have the freedom. If I wanted to hit it, I could hit it, or if I didn't really want to hit it, I could put it into play. But then, you made the second shot more difficult or easier depending on which way you decide to do the tee shot. I sort of like that kind of golf.
Yeah.
I don't like the kind of golf where you have to hit it boom, 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 straight, 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 or I don't like the kind of golf you just stand up and whack it every hole either. I just don't like that either. So I get a combination and try to get a blend on it. And I think we've got a nice blend here.
Yeah, sure do. Like I said, one of my favorites. Love playing it throughout the years. Now, I've told you many times, I've been fortunate to spend a bunch of time with you over the years, that watching you win the 1986 Masters, young kid in South Africa, that was the catalyst for me to fall in love with this game.
How old were you then?
I was 6.
You were 6.
I was 6, and it was the first time I watched the Masters on television. And I had to beg my parents to stay up late, because the time change. You've been to South Africa many times. And there I was on the couch, watching you shoot 65 on Sunday to win your 6th green jacket. But saying that, I feel like I pretty much know everything about your golfing career, having studied you being one of my heroes. But recently I read something that I never knew before. And so I'm wanting to find out if it's true. I read that you used the same 3-wood from 1958 to 1995. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah, I don't know if it was 1995, but it was. I got it when I was 18 years old, for my whole career until, and I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it was sometime late 90s when we finally switched over to a metal driver. I switched to a metal 3-wood. But that 3-wood, it was so rounded on the leading edge.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way to catch the ball in the bottom of the club because you couldn't get it off the ground anymore, and it didn't have any loft on it anymore. But I had it for years, and I'll never forget. I played. It had the same shaft. I had the same grip on it.
Well, that was my next question.
From 1981 till 1958 till 1981, I had the same grip.
Really?
Yeah, and then I played in Chicago in 1987 at Kipper Lakes.
Okay.
And I'll never forget, in the morning round on the 16th hole, I hit a tee shot, and I hit the 3-wood, and I tapped the club on the top of my bag,
Okay.
the shaft.
Yeah.
Didn't think anything about it because I didn't hit it very hard or anything else. And I got back out in the afternoon. I think it was back the second hole, and I needed a 3-wood to the green. I pulled out my 3-wood was like this.
Oh, the shaft.
I kinked the shaft.
Oh, wow.
I said, "Oh my gosh." So anyway, you could change clubs in those days doing that. So I remember sending Jackie back to the car. I was on the second hole. And he ran back there, and he got back to me in one hole with another 3-wood. But that was the only time I ever changed it. Then I got the shaft changed, and I played with that 3-wood again for probably another 7 or 8, 10 years.
I mean, that's just incredible. And you didn't want to change the grip because the club just felt so damn good. You didn't want to change anything.
It just felt good, yeah. I liked it. And I've never changed grips with anything. If I got a new set of golf clubs, I got a new set of grips, but I never changed grips. But I used to use the old leather grips, and I happen to like leather grips.
I mean, it's fascinating when you look at players of today. I mean, they change equipment, drivers, 3-woods, 5-woods all the time, 2-3 times a year sometimes.
Okay, well, you ever play with Arnold? I used to play with Arnold. Arnold would change a grip every hole. Or re-grip it every hole. He didn't hit his tee shot. He'd start winding on the grip, and he'd wind it back up again.
Oh, that's
of course, you couldn't do that in the tournament, but that's what he do in practice.
Sure. That's fantastic. Now, you just mentioned practice. I want to talk to you a little bit about that. What did a practice day look like for you? Were you super structured? Did you have a goal in mind? Were you trying to achieve something?
At a tournament or at home?
At home. Like when you were really working?
Well, my practice really depended on the time of year. I usually tried to take as much of the fall off as I could. I played very little. We didn't have a silly season back when I played. And so you maybe had an odd tournament. I went to Australia maybe for a couple of weeks, but that was really the amount of my golf. And I'd be starting in January, probably, maybe somewhere after Christmas, before, just right out of the first of the year. And I go to Jack Grout, and I say, "Okay, Jay Grout, let's start over." We start with the grip, we started with the stance, we started with posture, head position, the whole bit.
Fundamentals.
We started every year. I want to get rid of all the bad habits that I had and get into a new, fresh swing. So that meant that I needed to put some mileage on my swing. So early in the year, I would hit a lot of balls.
Reps, just a lot of reps.
Yeah, I hit a lot of reps and get a lot of time. And then I would go out and start playing my first tournament. I didn't usually play the first week. I usually played about the third or fourth week in January. And that usually was actually the old Crosby tournament, Pebble Beach. And so I went out there, I started to feel what I was doing. And after about 2 or 3 tournaments, I'd probably had a lot of reps on it, and I felt like my swing was pretty good. Then it was a matter of maintenance.
Okay.
And making sure I prepared properly for the tournament I was going to play in. So I would go home, and many times I'd go home and I'd stick my clubs in a closet for 5 or 6 days.
Really?
And not play, because I needed to get away from the game and get fresh. And then so I get back to work at it, and then I sort of gradually work myself back up for that tournament. And then when I got to the majors, got to the Masters, I'd played enough golf prior to the Masters that would sort of allowed me to play the courses that I felt would be good for me for Augusta. Tried to avoid. I didn't play a lot of Florida golf then because Florida was always very windy usually in the springtime,
Yeah.
and you'd be knocking the ball down all the time. And you get to Augusta, you want to knock it up.
I got you.
And so I tried not to do that, and so I avoided some of that. But I also played some because I needed to play too, needed the competition. But I get to Augusta, and I go in the week ahead of time, and I'd play a tournament. I'd go in and play a 72-hole tournament, see what kind of score I could shoot with the conditions were going to be there. Sure, I played other extra tee shots and extra chips and
Sure.
bunker shots and things, but I played at one ball pretty much for at least 4 rounds.
So it brought like a little bit of pressure into the practice.
Find out what's going on.
Yeah.
And so then I go back, then I go home and put my clubs in the closet for the weekend. And I go home, I usually played on Saturday, went home, put clubs in the closet Sunday and Monday, went back to the golf course on Tuesday. Now, all I had to do when I went back, because I was well prepared,
Yeah.
was just play golf. I didn't have to worry about the firmness of the greens, the width, the height of the fairways. I had all that done.
And at that point, you're into target and shot shape.
I just said into playing golf, just playing golf. So then that tournament was over, and usually I tried to let myself down after a major. So I like to usually go down for a week or two, and then we start to get to the schedule where we start building back up for the next one. And I build myself back up, and I start hit some balls, play a tournament or two that I thought that I wanted to work my way into.
Yeah.
And then I would be getting up to the U.S. Open. Now it's PGA played in May, but it was then we didn't. Of course, Memorial wasn't then, and working towards the U.S. Open. And the week before the U.S. Open, I'd go in, and I didn't usually play a tournament, but I usually played 2, 3, maybe 4 rounds, practice at the course we were going to play the Open on. First of all, I'd get the the narrowness of fairways again, the height of the rough. How firm the greens were, how fast the greens were going to be.
Where you could miss it, what the strategy was going to be.
I could figure out where I was going to be, where I want to miss it. How was it around the green? How was it playing? What kind of pitch shots you're going to play around it? We didn't play any golf courses where we had a lot of high rough around the greens, except for the U.S. Open. You play more of them now.
Yeah.
But I'd get myself ready for that, and then I'd go play the Open, and then of course I went to the British Open or the Open Championship, and I used to go over there and I played. I might play 7, 8, 10 practice rounds, because I changed clubs then. I used another set of golf clubs.
That's right. And the ball at times.
And the ball was different. You played the small ball usually, so I had to get used to a small ball, new set of golf clubs. I usually always took my own driver, my own 3-wood, my sand wedge and putter, and the rest of it was. All my irons were new.
Yeah.
Or there were a set of clubs that I'd used every year that I had made for me. And actually I was playing with Schlesinger at the time, and I had McGregor tweak them all, make them all the way I want them. So they made them the same as my other ones, but they were said Schlesinger on the bottom of them, and they were made by Schlesinger originally. So I'd do that, and that's where I spent a lot of. I enjoyed the practice rounds at the British Open, playing the seaside golf and learning how to play it again, and playing 8 or 10 practice rounds. You get pretty used to what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then of course came back, and then the PGA Championship was one after that. And I did pretty much the same thing as I did for the U.S. Open. So that's my practice schedule.
Man.
That was a long answer to your
It's
question,
great. No, I love
but it varied as the year went on.
Sure.
Because
you're in different cycles, different points in the season.
different cycles. Very rarely did I get into hitting a lot of balls later in the year, but I always went to the practice tee. I say 98% of the time after a round I went to the practice tee.
Oh, really?
I did there for a couple of reasons. One is I wanted to get rid of the tension of the day. I wanted to make sure that the things that I was doing well, that I knew what they would, make sure that I was solid on them, and the things that I was doing wrong that I could correct.
Okay.
If I hadn't corrected them on the golf course, because I always corrected on the golf course, and I get those in my mind, and I wanted to make sure that my short game was fine, and I didn't want to take golf home with me. I didn't want Barbara to have to listen to me complain about what I did during the golf course.
So that was when you wrapped it up. You used it to wrap it up right
I
there.
wrapped up my day, and it might take 10 minutes,
Yeah.
it might take 2 hours.
Sure.
Whatever it took to arrive when I went home. I didn't take golf with me. I was able free to enjoy the evening, do what I wanted to do with my family, and be ready for the next day.
That's great. Now, you mentioned Jack Grout earlier. What's the best advice that he ever gave you throughout your career?
Well, I'm not sure what advice Jay Grout gave me, but he taught me to be responsible for my own game. Meaning, Jay Grout must have come to a couple hundred golf tournaments. Not once did he ever step on a practice tee. Never.
Really?
Ever. Zero.
Really?
No, never. And if I had a problem, I'd go back and find him back he'd be up in the stands watch us warm up. Jay Grout, what do you see? He'd just go head, foot, and he'd make me go figure it out.
Wow.
In other words, he knew that I knew enough about what my swing was, that he had taught me, that I could go back and say, why did he tell me head? I go back and check, where's my head? Where is it in relation to the ball? Is it up? Is it down? Is it forward? Is it what?
Just self-discovery, and that's how you learned.
That's how I learned how to play.
More about your swing.
Bobby Jones, I used to go down to his cabin every year in Augusta. He invited my father and me down. And he said that he became a golfer when I didn't have to run home and ask Sterling Maiden, who was his teacher, what I did wrong and how to play.
Sure.
When I could fix it myself on the golf course or at the site or what I was doing, that's when I became a golfer. And so I took that to heart. I don't care if I was in the 15th hole of the last round of the U.S. Open with a one-shot lead. If I was doing something wrong, I changed it right then.
Really?
I did it a bunch.
You'd make the adjustment.
I'd make the adjustment. I'd always try to do it on a shot or hole that wasn't going to kill me. As I wouldn't like, in other words, if you go to Augusta,
There's less risk.
I wouldn't do it at the 12th hole at Augusta.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or the 11th hole at Augusta.
Yeah.
I'd wait until maybe to get to 14.
Yeah.
Or I'd try to do it tee shot at 11, or the 10th hole where I had more room. I'd make those changes and adjustments there. Then I figure, okay, I did this, I did that. This worked. How is this going to move forward? How will I be able to apply that to what I'm going as I go? And then move on with the round.
And so you think that's what constitutes a great swing, is really understanding the matchups to why each player can hit great shots.
I sort of, and I don't know whether I shouldn't say the word. I don't feel sorry, but I feel that the kids today, they have an entourage, and they've got they got swing coaches, fitness coaches, health coaches. They got psych coaches.
Yeah.
Not one of them have ever been in the position that they're going to put their player in, and not one of them has ever played a shot, and is ever going to or is going to play a shot for you. You got to do it all yourself.
Yeah.
So the more that you've got in your own head, and the more that you can do it yourself, the more you're responsible for what your own game is, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah.
And to me, that's I see the kids today, and I see them when they go wrong, and they can't seem to correct it. And I said, I feel they weren't probably taught to do what I was taught. And I was very blessed that I had a teacher like Jack Grout who really understood. He grew up, he was assistant pro at Glen Garden in Fort Worth with Ben Hogan and Byron Nelson as juniors.
Wow. Exactly.
So the three of them started on the tour in 1931 together. And so, I had a pretty good background with Jay Grout. Byron and Ben went out and played, and Jack Grout sort of played a bit, but then his back wasn't great, his eyesight wasn't great, and so he gravitated more to teaching than he did to playing. Good player, but he gravitated more to that.
Yeah. Who's your favorite swing on tour right now? You got one?
Well, I love Roy's swing. I think Rick Roy's is fantastic. I would like to see Roy's with a little bit more discipline.
Explain.
Yeah, I will. Discipline meaning, I think that Roy loses the ball left too often, and sometimes, and particularly on holes that he shouldn't lose it left on. There are time and places where you could miss the ball in the wrong place, but when you got a swing as good as Roy's, when you get to a place you just can't do that. And I think that Roy. I'm a big Roy fan. I love Roy, and I like him as a person and as a golfer. But I wish he had just a little bit more discipline at the right times. I like Oberg's swing.
Yeah, me too.
I think he's going to be a really good golfer.
I agree.
And I think he's already a pretty good golfer in his first year. Even though he just now won with Schauffele in the first major, I like his action. I think he's good. I think Scheffler, although he looks unusual, the way his footwork is, his swing path is sensational.
Isn't it? Club face control is
He-
on the money.
He's sensational. I can go. Let's see. Who else am I thinking about? Give me a name. I'll give you a comment.
You've hit a lot of good ones right there. I'm going to switch you to putting. I mean, you're the greatest pressure putter of all time. Give us some secrets. What was your most important thing that you focused on?
Making it.
So it's a mindset?
Absolutely. I mean, I remember that when I made a putt in 1959 at the U.S. Amateur to win it, the last hole, an 8-footer, beat Charlie Coe, went up in the 36-hole final. I hit that putt in the hole. It was a left edge putt. I hit it in the hole. I made that putt. I then knew that I could make a putt when I needed to make it. That was the biggest putt I ever made in my life. I didn't have to wait for the next one because I knew that now, hey, I've done this. I can do this again. And so that works on you. And what I always got to is hey, I've got to make this putt, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. I got to make it. And I made most of them.
You sure did.
By doing that, by just sort of willing the ball into the hole.
Gotcha.
I never really worked too much on stroke. To me, it was all in the fingers. It was all feel. And my stroke might change from day to day, but the idea and thing, I had my couple fundamentals was I had a tendency to lift my head. I had a tendency to take the putter back inside sometimes a little bit. So if I saw some things, that was again the fundamental that I would work on, that I'd look at. I'd say, oh, okay, I'd drop a ball and see where's it fall, where's my head position, where, all kinds of little things that I would do to just double check what I was doing. But I didn't really grossly change my swing, my putting stroke a lot. More putting stroke was about a little bit about grip pressure, uniform grip pressure throughout the stroke.
So not necessarily soft or tight, just uniform throughout.
Well, it depends on the greens. The faster the green, the little softer I was. The slower the green, the little firmer I was with my grip pressure. But I tried to keep it consistent.
Yeah.
And of course, to me again, the smoothness through the ball, not getting a pop at the ball. And at times I putted popping the ball, but it depends on Sometimes when you got on very grainy greens, I popped it a little bit more. But I think you have to adjust to what you're doing, and I think you have to. But I think as long as if your head's still and your everything and your fundamentals are in good position, then it's a matter of sitting there and say, okay, I'm gonna make this putt. But the other thing is that I also putted, which not many people putt this way, I think, is I putted the same way I played. I tried to eliminate left.
Okay.
In other words, I'd aim a lot. You see how I came underneath the putt?
Yeah.
That was me starting to the left of the hole and working back to it.
Okay.
And making sure that I stayed left rather than ever getting to the right and have to come back and pull it. So if I worked under the ball all the time putting, I think that I eliminated. I mean, you figure you've only got, 4 1/4 inches, and if you aim it at the center, you only got 2 1/8 inches to hit it one way or the other. So if you aim it at the left edge and you know you're going to move it to the right, you've got 4 1/2 inches, 4 1/4 inches to hit it in.
Love that.
It's twice the size.
Yeah.
Same as a fairway.
Yeah.
40-yard fairway, 20 yards hook or slice. Aim it left, you got 40 yards to fade it.
That's right.
Same thing.
I love it. Well, thanks so much. Appreciate the time. It's just great to be here, and we're looking forward to another.
That was a
great
whole
week.
book.
Huh?
That was a whole book I just gave.
I know. I love it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay.